There's so much being written and talked about and presented about regarding longevity these days. I find it rather entertaining as someone who has studied longevity and traveled the globe to learn more about it. I've been following that holy grail of health and health span and lifespan. It's very entertaining to hear how it's romanticized. And after spending 5 weeks in Italy, I can tell you, even just living there briefly, that it's not a romantic type of lifestyle. It's a wonderful lifestyle. We've learned the pillars of longevity, and we now know what it takes to live long, purposeful lives. The problem is that we need to start to incorporate some of the pillars into the lifestyle of a westernized society and a very heavily industrialized society. But there's just a few realities about the lifestyle of longevity that I want to cover today to make sure that we don't go off on a meaning or a thinking of this type of life as something that's so easy, so serendipitous, so Shangri-La, that everything is perfect. So here's just a couple of things that I've noticed and lived through over the last couple of months while in Italy and coming back. First of all, we have to realize that life is much more physical in Italy, or in the south of Italy, than it is in the United States. So what does that mean? That means there's significantly more movement and walking long distances, much more than the 10,000 steps that we talk about today in the United States, and people are trying to get their steps in every day. 10,000 steps is just normal. And they really don't think about it. It's not something that's measured, but it's not only steps. It's steps that are up and down stairs. It's steps that are on cobblestone streets, steps that go up on inclines and go back down on inclines. And as people are going about their day, there's an awful lot more of walking. So maybe that's glamorous, maybe it's not glamorous, but that is one of the realities. And then even little tasks are done very differently. For example, when I went to go do the wash machine was very small, probably a little more than the size of a decent sized computer. And so you have a small wash machine, you do a few clothes at a time, and then when your clothes are done, you don't have a dryer that just continually runs and dries your clothes miraculously. You either take your clothes and you hang them outside on clotheslines that are in between your apartment and the next apartment, or you hang them in a drying rack at your house if the weather isn't good, if it's raining or tends to be a little bit cooler. So both of those things are requiring much more physical activity, and they're not quite as convenient as what we're used to in the United States. But here's where a couple of unfair advantages come in when it comes to that lifestyle. First of all, sunshine in the south of Italy is abundant every day. People don't have to worry about snow and ice and dressing for that kind of weather. It's very easy to leave your house and to do the walking that's necessary to the market, to a friend's house, to work, to a number of things. Many little cities have what is called as lungomares, especially if they're near the sea, big long walking areas where people stroll after work or after dinner. And it's really very, very nice. And then also the local and seasonal and fresh food that's available is a huge, I call it an unfair advantage. This food is brought in trucks. It's vendors are from the farms, from the fields every day. The food stores set up shelving where they have put out this beautiful food, fruits, vegetables, cheeses, nuts, eggs, anything you can imagine. And people can go every day and you take a walk to the market with a couple of your bags. You pick up the foods, you choose what looks good that day, you purchase your foods, and the interesting thing that is for the United States is that people know what to do with these ingredients when they bring them home. They make amazing dishes. And yes, Italians will eat a lot of pasta, but it's not big bowls of spaghetti or macaroni. It's good Italian pasta made with Italian wheat for most people. And it's tossed with different things. It can be tossed with vegetables. It can be tossed with greens. It can be tossed with fish. There's many, many ways to make it. And so it's very, very delicious. So just as an example, one afternoon I was walking to the market and I was looking around at the foods that came in for the day. And I noticed one little vendor on the corner had fresh fruits. He had citrus. The citrus is abundant, and wonderful pomegranates. And so I asked him if I could get what's called a spremunta, which is a fresh squeezed juice. And I asked for a spremunta made with pomegranate and orange, so melograno and arancia. And I said, sure, of course, and it was €1, which is like $1.05 or $1.10 for a nice glass of juice. And he immediately picked up the pomegranate, cut it in half, cut an orange in half, put it in his hand squeezer, handed it to me, and there I had enough antioxidants for the entire day, enough walking, enough sunshine, and I went about my way. I'll add that little video of how he did this and how simple life can be, not always as romantic. Sometimes it can be hard work, but how beautiful it's lived. Now, the big problem is trying to incorporate some of these changes to the American way of living. And that is something that I'm working on this year. I'm going to incorporate speakers from Italy. And while we can't live in that kind of environment, and there aren't going to be fruit markets on every corner in your town, there are things we can do. So stay tuned for more information. And also I'll put a link in the description to my longevity tips, my monthly newsletter that gives a tip every month as to how you can start incorporating the lifestyle of longevity. Thank you so much for listening. If you aren't a subscriber, please subscribe. And if you are a subscriber and you've stopped by, thank you so much. I appreciate it.